What's going on, everyone? This is Justin with LUN Studios, and today we're going to be covering how to make motion graphics templates for Premiere Pro in Adobe After Effects. Now, what this is going to allow you to do is create things like intros, lower thirds, or even outro credits that are easier to manage in Premiere Pro, so you don't have to worry about going into After Effects and doing all the keyframing and nitty-gritty stuff that you would normally have to do on a consistent basis. What this will also allow you to do is save time in terms of applying these graphics for future projects. So something like this, I can use in every single YouTube video, and I only have to animate it once, and then I can edit things like the text fields, the color, the opacity, super simple in Premiere Pro. So let's get started. All right, so in After Effects, first and foremost, start a new project, and we're gonna go to the top right here, if you see with this little drop down, and we're gonna select something called Essential Graphics. What this is gonna open up is this window right here, called the Essential Graphics window. If you don't see that, you can just go to Window and check Essential Graphics. So in here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a controller for different types of animation, such as text. You could even do graphics, boxes, shapes, and you can control different variables such as scale, position, opacity, which is really going to help you get a little more control in Premiere Pro in terms of the animation of the graphic. So this way, you don't necessarily have to bake all of your elements into like an MOV file or an MP4, and this will allow you to maintain the quality and integrity of your graphics, but also give you a little more control over animating it. So first and foremost, let's create a new layer. So Control N. One thing to be mindful of when you're setting your settings here is you really want to make sure all of your settings are consistent to the output video that you're going to use. So normally with my videos, I set it at 1920 by 1080, square pixel, 59.94. And you want to give it a good buffer duration. Just, you know, if we're only going to be doing something like a lower third in this example, you don't really need it to be more than 10 seconds. Usually the animation lasts for about 4 to 5. It depends on your taste and preferences in terms of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 10 seconds. So we get 59.94, 10 seconds, perfect. Let's name this LUN, lower third. Cool, so we have our layer here. Now, what you wanna do is you wanna go into Essential Graphics, and you're gonna wanna select that composition. So LUN, lower third, and we'll call this LUN, lower third. All right, so we got our good base setting now. So let's start with putting on our title and action safe. So now we get a little bit more of a feel to the guide of a good placement for our lower thirds. Let's do something simple. So Control T to bring up the text tool. Let's do my name. So let's do Justin. Let's edit this text a little bit. Let's make it a little bit. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let me make it bold. Okay, and we'll just place this here for now. And let's do another one. Whoops. We'll say. We'll give me a title here because we want to have something that denotes, you know, in a lower third, we're trying to describe who this individual is and what, you know, what they do, who they work for. So we'll say creative director. Okay, we'll make this a little smaller, so we'll give it a regular. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. We can move that a little tighter. And then what we're going to want to do is, typically in lower thirds, you might have a third line. We'll say, I work for LUN Studios. And we'll make this a tad bit smaller. Maybe even give it a semi-light. Okay. Now we'll grab all these. We will align them on the left side. Perfect. So we're good for a starting base here. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is when you look at your text field, what kind of animation do you want it to have? Do you want it to appear? Do you want it to kind of slide onto screen? You could really do anything at this point. This is really more so how you're going to introduce your graphic. Now this animation will not be editable in the template, so be mindful of that. So you could have the opacity appear over time, or you could have, you know, your slide in, slide out by just moving the graphic as if it were just any other graphic in Premiere Pro. Now what we're going to do is we're actually just going to leave this plain. As it is, we're going to move up to the Essential Graphics hub here and click Solo Supported Properties. What that's going to do is it's going to twirl open all of the elements or variables that are able to be controlled using the motion graphics template. So we're going to want the text fields to be editable. So let's grab source text and just drag it on up here. And we will name this line 01. Then we will do line 02. Line 02, and then line 03. Okay, so now for line 1, what we want to do is we want to click Edit Properties. What do you want to make adjustable? So we're going to want to allow people to choose their own font. So, you know, if you have a different style of video, maybe you're trying to make a template that you can use for multiple clients' videos, they all have different styles or choices in font, you're definitely going to want to use this so you don't have to reopen the template again and adjust minor settings. The other thing you're going to also want to increase is the font size adjustment. So we'll put that on. We don't really need faux styles. We could leave that blank. Okay, so we're going to want to do that for all of them. Edit Properties, select these two. Boom. So now all 3 of these fields can be changed and their sizes can also be changed. Now, one issue you'll run into is, say, for example, maybe you don't like how big the text is on this. So if you adjust the size, it looks fine on line 1, but once you adjust it on line 2, there's this gap that is still here, right? So we're going to want to be able to allow people or yourself to be able to move the position of each of these lines. So next thing you're going to want to do is grab from the first line, so in this case the one named Justin, and we're going to grab position and we're going to drop it right underneath line 1. Okay, so this we'll call line 1 position. What this will allow you to do is move according to the sizing. Okay, so that will give you a little more fine-tuning capabilities. Now we're going to want to do that for every other line as well. So we'll do the position for line 2. So we'll do line 2 position. And then finally for line 3. Drag that to the bottom there. Line 3 position. Whoops. Position. Another thing you're going to want to be mindful of is the color of the text. You're going to want to be able to change it. Say you have a really light background and white text just isn't going to work on top of it. So what you can do is you can actually click Animate, Fill Color, RGB. What this will do is it'll add the animator for fill color. You could change that to, we'll do that for white right now. Now what we can do is we can drag the fill color right underneath line position. We'll put it right between position and just the general font settings. Okay. We'll call this line 1 color. Now, when you go into Premiere, it's going to allow you to bring up the color panel to adjust the color of your font. As you can see, it popped up right there. Cool. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other 2 lines. Fill color, RGB. Animate, fill color, RGB. So let's bring up line 2. Right between position. Line 2, fill. Nope. Line 2, color. And then line 3. Line 3, color. Now you can label this any way you want. It's going to appear that way in Premiere Pro. So no matter what your layers are named down here, all that matters is how you name and organize in Essential Graphics itself. That is how it's going to export, and that's how you're going to see it in the UI in Premiere Pro. So let's stick with this. This looks fine. Let's set all of our colors to white here. White. Now what you're going to notice is this is similar to if you were to just create your own graphic and then insert text layers and then readjust it and you know, get everything in the right area that you want it to be. But what this will do is you do it once. So if you have videos that you release regularly, so say if you're a YouTuber, this will allow you to create the template once, as long as you have your brand guide setting. You could have all of the points justified. You could have your text setting, your sizes, your boldness, as well as position, and this way you don't have to redo it every single time that you want to export a video. Now you could do other things like create transparent videos or a mask or you know, have just white on a black background and you can do a screen overlay or multiply, etc. But in this sense, this will also give you the ability to change minor details such as the source text, the text style. Maybe you changed your brand or look, or you just wanted to change it up for one of your videos. You'll be able to adjust that as well as the size and the positioning. So now what you're going to do is export the template. So you click Export Motion Graphics Template down at the bottom of the Essential Graphics window. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a little pop-up that asks you where the destination is. So I'm just going to put it in the local templates folder. This way they can sync together with Premiere Pro more easily. And also we'll have these compatibility warnings. I'm just going to leave them all checked because it's good to know whether or not something's going to function properly. So we're going to click OK. What you're seeing here now is I'm using these 3 fonts that are actually Adobe fonts. Now, if you don't have these Adobe fonts activated, you're going to get a warning if you're using this template that if your computer doesn't have these fonts, you probably won't be able to use this template with those fonts as the default fonts. So we're just going to go ahead and click OK, let that export, and now we're going to move over to Premiere Pro. All right, so now that we're in Premiere Pro, what I've done is I've created a LUN lower third tutorial composition. And now I'm going to just drag in one of my raw files that I had from one of my other videos. Boom. Here, let's move this ahead on the timeline a tiny bit just so it looks more like I'm talking about something substantial. All right, there we are. So I think I'm talking about something. Yeah, I'm talking about something. Cool. So now what we want to do is we want to open up Window, Essential Graphics. So now we're going to want to find our motion graphics template. We saved it to the local templates folder. So let's check that real quick. And this is in alphabetical order based on title. So be aware of that. Now you have all of these templates that have been provided, I believe, through Adobe just by having Premiere Pro. You could use them at your will, but if you want to make more customized ones that don't fit these types of templates, this is what this is for. So here we go. We got LUN lower third, right? So we're going to select that. We're going to bring it onto the timeline. Let it load up. It's going to say media offline. Just give it a second to do its thing. All right, there you go. So now Justin, creative director at LUN Studios, appears. That is my graphic. All right, so what we're going to want to do is now we're going to want to click on this graphic. What you're going to see is a couple things here. As long as you have the Essential Graphics window open on the right, you'll be able to adjust Say My Name. So Say My Name was actually Daniel. Click out of it. Boom, updated right there. And there you go. But my name's not Daniel, so we'll just go with Justin. Now the other thing I showed you before, okay, so we want to change our font. So now I have this font, which means I'm not going to get the warning. But if you're going to be sending a template to, say, a client and they don't have the font on their computer and they're trying to use this for Premiere Pro, you're going to want to make a note or maybe include the font file if it doesn't require extra licensing for the individual to use it commercially. So best practices in that sense. Let's say we want to change it to, I don't know, radio space. Boom, look at that. We could update all of these to radio space. And now there are other things you can do with expressions that will allow you to uniformly change things such as the text or the font type. But we're not going to be going over that in this video. We're just going to be doing the basics here. So let's just say we want to change it to that. Great. Now I want to actually increase the size of my name. Awesome. These are only in regular, so that's just the font's basis. So now one thing to be mindful of here is you can't animate the actual position or colors. So once you set it, it's set, right? There's no way you can keyframe it. So just be mindful of that when you're also building your template. So let's just go ahead and do this in white. And now we just want a simple animation for it. So let's start with it off screen. Whoops, let's go this way. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. We're gonna start with it off screen. Zoom in a bit more here. And maybe 10 frames in, we'll bring it back to that 960. So now we have our name popping up. Super rudimentary, very simple, but you could also create different types of animations inside of After Effects, and that will be baked into your template. What that'll allow you to do is actually be able to change properties such as the source text while maintaining the animation. This way you don't have to re-export the same thing over and over again. Say if you have interviews with special guests and you have a different person every single time, you're going to want to be able to change their names without needing to go into After Effects and change all the text fields and then have to re-export it and bring it into Premiere and then worry about all this. Will save you loads of time. So that about wraps it up for this video. What we're going to be covering in the next video is how to use the new function added in the November update, the Adobe After Effects 2020 update, which is the drop-down panel effect in Adobe After Effects. This is actually a great way to consolidate all of your assets or graphic assets based on, say, if you're a YouTuber and you want to make a uniform template that has your intro, has your lower thirds, as well as has your outro, or you could do that for other clients as well that may have a video series that they want to use similar graphics for. So we're going to cover that in the next one. I appreciate your time for watching this. If this helped at all, please like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everyone.